Right, this is the next chapter, and it's going to go a bit more into our word classes, but focusing on word families, right? And different parts of the words, prefixes and suffixes. So let's get started. Let's go to task 1. So this is about words that do not change forms. In the previous chapter, we learned that some words have only one word class, like restrict. That's only a verb, right? Whereas some words, like study, it's a noun and also a verb, right? So in this task, what they're asking you is that if the noun version of change is the same, which means it's also change, then you just put a tick. If the noun version of restrict is different, then you just write it out. Okay, so change, the noun version is also change, whereas restrict, the verb restrict, the noun is not restrict, it's restriction. Employ, the noun is basically employment. Now be careful here, because here employment is the idea, right? The abstract idea. Of course, you can also talk about employer and employee, but that's the person. Okay, so employment is the correct answer. That's really the abstract idea. Cause, it is also a cause. It is also cause, so just put a tick. Offer, this is also offer, so you can put a tick. Depend, the noun version is dependence. Now, be very careful here. It's kind of tricky, because dependence again is the noun version, the abstract, the idea. Now, dependent, okay, ENT, that is actually an adjective, and dependent, that is a so dependence is the noun. Okay, dependent is an adjective. He is dependent on. ANT, okay, is a noun. Okay, for those who are foreigners not from Singapore, if your husband, say for example, is the person who has come to Singapore, and he's got the employment pass or whatever pass he has, and he's the one who's hired by a company here, and you are just here because of him, or it could be your wife who's the main employment pass holder, all right? But you are just here because of your wife. So whoever is the one with the actual employment pass, if you don't have you're not working, you're just taking care of the kids or whatever it may be, then you get a dependent pass. Okay. All right, so this is the Ministry of Manpower. So the dependence pass, or a dependent pass, all right? This A is a noun, because you are the dependent, all right? A child relative to whom you give, basically you depend on the other person, okay? So that is the noun version, okay? And the E is the adjective, so don't get confused. Anyway, the noun version is the idea. We always want to look for the idea, not the person, okay? So next, claim. So the noun, it's also claim. Decrease below. the noun is also decrease, so you just have to put a tick. Respond is the verb, the noun is response. Influence is the verb, the noun is also influence. Suggest is the verb, the noun is suggestion. Aim is the verb, the noun is also aim. Argue is the verb, the noun is argument. Careful with the spelling, no E after U, okay, for the noun. Risk is the same, and waste is also the same, right? Then you look at these words and you put them according to their word class. So for the nouns, you have behavior, development, difference, equality, formation. For verbs, you have the activates, which is already there, calculate and realize. For adjectives, you have appropriate, which is there, and economical and social. And for adverbs, you have gradually, the ly. Okay, so as you can see here, well, based on this at, if a word ends with at, it could be a verb or an adjective. Okay, but then after that, you come to this task. For nouns, ion, ment, those are normally, if you have words ending with those, it's a noun. What else for nouns? You have ence, difference, and ity. For verbs, you have ize, realize, and also ate. Okay, ize and at, and of course for adjectives you also have that ate and al. Okay, al, economical, social, right? And adverbs normally it's just ly, right? So true, and this of course ate could be both a verb and an adjective for words with the end with ate, but for others like ence, ity is normally a noun, okay, and all that ly is normally an adverb. All right, let's do this task. Let's do some words. Okay, these are prefixes. So re could be rearrange. Inter could be interpersonal. Anti could be anticlimax. Geo could be geophysics, geography. Post could be postmodern, postgraduate. Microclimate, microscope. Semi, final. Submarine, thermometer. Okay, so looking at all the prefixes and what are the meanings for this. Okay, so after would be post. Half is going to be semi. Connected with heat, it's gonna be thermal. Extremely small, micro. Between, inter. Under, sub. Connected with the earth, geo. Against, anti. To or twice, bi. And lastly, one would be mono. All right, then you come to the negative prefixes. Now all these help you in terms of understanding what word class, at least for this, understanding what word class and understanding for this is understanding the meaning. So every time you have, if you're not sure of the meaning of the word, every time you have a geo in front, you know something connected to earth. NT, something against. Okay. Now, so uncertainty, if you want to talk about opposite, to give the opposite meaning, you just put a UN. All right. And you put some what you call a negative prefix, and UN would make it the opposite, but you can't put an IR, for example. I mean, different words have different negative prefixes, okay? But they all mean the same. So they all mean the same thing, which is they all mean the negative, the opposite of the word, right? So unsatisfactory, so that UN. Inefficient. Don't ask why it's like that. Why do you use, for example, efficient? Why do you put the IN, not UN? There's no reason, okay? It's just the way it is. Disappearance. Unprincipled. Abnormal. Irrelevant. Illegal. Immoral. And unpublished. Okay. Members that look different. So, for example, you have long. Let's go there. Long, what kind of word class is it in the bracket? Long is actually an adjective. Need is a verb. Obey is a verb. Poor is an adjective. Lone is a noun. It can actually also be a verb. Okay, but it's most commonly used as a noun. Okay. Space, noun, scribe, verb. Okay, and then what is it linked to? Long is linked to length, which is a noun. Need is linked to necessary. Necessary is an adjective. Obey is linked to obedience, which is a noun. ENCE, do you see the ENCE? Poor is linked to poverty, which is a noun. Lone as a noun is linked to land, which is a verb. Space is linked to G, which is spatial, which is an adjective. And describe would be linked to F, which is description. ION, which is a noun. All right. Next, word families. So the noun for compete is competition. The adjective is competitive. And the adverb is the ly, competitively. Okay. Decision, the verb for decision is decide. The adjective is decisive. And the adverb, decisively. Permission or permit. Permission is more of the idea. Permit is a kind of like a more tangible kind of thing that you can feel, a permit, a work permit or whatever. Okay, both are nouns. Verb, the verb of both of these, the verb is permit. The adjective is permissible. All right, and you don't really have an adverb for that. Economic or economical, the noun would be let's see, economy. The verb would be economize, and the adverb will be economically. Okay, and originally the adverb, the noun will be origin, the verb will be original, the adjective would be the the verb will be originate, the adjective will be original. Complicate, the verb is complicate, the noun will be complication. The adjective would be complicated. Absent, as an adjective, you only have the noun, which is absence. And certain, you have certainty as a noun and certainly as an adverb. Okay, so that is how you fill in the blanks in this table. Not, as you can see, not all words have the every single word class form, right? Next, you're going to use these words in brackets and going to put it in the blank, but you may have to change the word class, right? So here, just let me analyze this. Economist is the subject, often argues the verb. If you have a that plus clause, again, I'm going to talk about the word patterns, that plus clause, which means clause is a subject and a verb. That means you start with your subject again. Competition, your subject is always a noun, right? So that's why you can't put compete. You can't put competitive, which is the adjective, because this is your subject, again, which is a noun. So you have to put a noun version, which is competition, and your verb is. So it is an subject, verb, something, and is an article, which means you will have a noun somewhere. Absolute is an adjective. So here's your noun. So certain. So number 2 will be certain as a noun, certainty, right? It is an absolute certainty. In the manager's apostrophe as a possessive, that means it's going to be a noun. For example, my pen, his house, okay, that belongs to somebody, is going to be a noun. So the noun of absence, noun of absent is absence, the noun version. Many people believe that high fuel prices are, okay, you are going to use, you could look at this as either an adjective or a verb in the continuous tense. But whatever it is, whatever describes a verb or an adjective is the adverb, economically. Okay, that is describing the damaging. Photocopies of this certificate are not sufficient. The what documents, the article always comes with a noun. The documents is that, so this is going to describe the documents. Original, the adjective version. Okay, adjective comes before the noun. The what, the, an article, you have a noun. You can't put decide because decide is a verb, so you're going to put decision, which is a noun version. Photocopies may not be made without the. Again, without is a preposition, you have a noun, the, after the is a noun. So permit, in the noun, you are probably looking at permission, okay, because you're talking about the idea of the author giving you permission rather than he doesn't give you a permit, a tangible permit, a physical thing, right? So the noun is also permission. Remember, permit could be a verb and it could be a noun. Okay, permit here is also the verb and a noun, but here we're using the idea in the noun, the permission. 8. The construction of the new road has been delayed as a result of is a preposition of something, so there has to be a noun somewhere. Legal here is, remember, AL. What is AL? AL is normally an adjective. Okay, so this is an adjective. So adjective is going to describe a noun. Where's your noun after the preposition of? This is the noun here. This is the adjective describing a noun. So the noun version of complicate is complication. Okay, next. You take one of these words here and you're going to put it into both of the blanks, and it may be different forms. Okay, so the secretary what? Okay, which word? Explain. Okay, so you're going to use the verb. Now, most of my students would put explain. I'll get to that because that's wrong. And then however, so but explain is the verb, right? Okay, and you want to use the verb here. Okay, however, it's going to be a noun. The explanation, that's a noun, right? However, is your adverb. Remember that you have your subject, which is always a noun, and after the, an article is also a noun. So the explanation. So you can't put the explain. Is the explanation, the noun. Subject, verb. Now, if you put explain, it is wrong. Firstly, always remember you have to think about the tense. If this is present simple tense, and you have to go back to my videos and my homework I gave you regarding the tenses. If it's present simple tense, is he, she, or it here, it will be S. So it will be the secretary explains, right? So always remember, that's why tense is very important. You have to form the tense correctly. Use the right tense and form it correctly. So it will never just be explained. It's impossible here, okay? Could be explains, but is this in the present simple tense? The clue here is was. So the explanation was in the past. So this verb has to be in the past. If you say the secretary explains the registration process in some detail, that's possible. That means, what is the meaning of present simple tense? And I talk about this in the tenses in the videos. The use of the present simple tense is when something happens regularly. Okay, so if you say, the secretary, every day the secretary explains the registration process in some detail to people at the counter or whatever it may be. All right, that is something that happens regularly. Then you can use the present simple. But this is, of course, one time in the past. However, was. Okay, so you have to use the past simple, so it should be explained. So it's not good enough to get the right verb or the right word class. You have to form the right tense if it needs a tense. Okay. People react in different ways is a noun. Different is the adjective. These are many. These differences. Okay. Different is an adjective describing the ways. These is going to be the noun. Difference is a noun. Differences the plural. There's a strong argument. There is a is you have a noun after that. This is an adjective, then this is a noun. So argument is a noun. Remember, you don't have an e here. The manufacturers of such games argue. Okay, this is your verb in the present simple tense. Manufacturers, they, so you don't have the s here, and it's present simple tense because they regularly argue. Okay, I mean, this is not something that they argued. Oh, they argued yesterday. No, this is what they argue habitually, always, generally. Okay. 5. Some elderly people find prepackaged foods. Find it difficult, adjective, to open the main. Then the main is the adjective. Here's your subject. So after the article you have to have a noun. The noun is here. This is the adjective and this is the noun. So the noun of difficult is difficulty. Lastly, many studies have recorded how children's language skills develop. Verb in the present simple tense. The development of the noun again. Okay, this is the verb. This is in the present simple tense. This is the noun. Okay, that's all. I don't really need you to do all this. Okay, so yeah.